Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to think really hard about it. Have you ever seen someone standing there in City Fair advertising for a corporation? I don't mean average traders. I mean people who say that they're selling to you instead of trading. Okay, well, maybe you haven't seen these people, but today I'll be telling you the story of the time I was hired into a FER.AL Pyramid Scheme. So, sit back and relax, because this is going to take a while to explain. You see, the inner workings of a FER.AL corporation are very complicated. At least, that's what my boss told me. So let me explain how I met my FER.AL boss. One day I was in City Fair when I saw this bright orange fox. Most people in this game were talking to friends or minding their own business, but he was advertising in every single land. No matter where you went, you would see advertisements from this one player in chat. He was named Fox Song, an orange fox that looked and acted like a capitalist. Fox Song asked me if I was interested in a FER.AL job. "You'll be paid lockpicks," he said. My first task was to collect 18 silk tufties within 3 days, and I'd be paid exactly 13 lockpicks. It was an unconventional job, but I completed it. And then immediately after, I was given another job to collect other ingredients. Fox Song then invited me to his sanctuary. He called his sanctuary a den because he was from Animal Jam. Fox Song asked me if I wanted to be promoted. I was skeptical and thought it was strange, but I agreed. I was promoted to manager. My job was to hire people to collect exactly 14 ice shards within 3 days. Within my first day, I hired my first employees to work under me. I had only been working under Fox Song for a week, but I was very interested in understanding what was going on. It made no sense why one person would need so many of one ingredient. So I asked about it, and he said, "Do you want to know the full inner workings of a FER.AL corporation?" It's complicated. And it definitely was complicated. So let me try and explain how the FER.AL corporation worked. Fox Song owned a weapon business. I had involved myself with the weapon and hat economy of FER.AL. You see, he had invented a system to most quickly and effectively make weapons to sell. On FER.AL, not in real life. At the bottom of the company was the employees. They did menial tasks like collecting ingredients. Above them were managers. Managers managed employees. They would collect the ingredients from the employees and pay the employees with lockpicks. Then the managers would give the ingredients to Fox Song, and Fox Song would pay the managers lockpicks for it. Finally, the boss, Fox Song, would use those ingredients to make items. Silk tufties made ruffian caps, and ice shards made ice daggers. The boss would sell the weapons and hats to customers. Okay, back to the story. Suddenly, it made more sense, and I remembered a particular incident that had happened many weeks prior. One day, I was recording a FER.AL video. In fact, I have a lot of footage of exchanges of me and Fox Song because often he would trade me while I was recording FER.AL videos. I was recording the first iceberg video when I saw someone in chat saying they were selling hats. I traded them because I wanted to buy a hat. The hat was actually pretty expensive. It was exactly 55 lockpicks, but that was because it had black dye, the most expensive dye. I had actually been a customer of Fox Song before without even remembering it. Fox Song told me exactly what to repeat on each server to attract employees. I would go around saying, "If you want to be hired in my business, then message me, you'll get paid lockpicks." And I was off. Not too long from then, I had already gathered 8 employees to work under me. I wrote each employee's quota and pay in my diary. During my time working under Fox Song, I had always wondered why he went about the way he did. If you want ingredients, you should just say, "Trade me ingredients." not I'm looking to hire people. So many things about feral corporations were bizarre, and I didn't think anyone on this game would buy an expensive hat with lockpicks. Because if you bought this expensive stuff with lockpicks, you'd be losing rarity. The issue with my thinking was, of course, feral corporations wouldn't make sense from an economy perspective, because feral corporations aren't meant to be thought of that way. They're more of a roleplay than a rarity thing. In fact, if you think about it, there's no point in collecting a ton of lockpicks, because even if you have 10,000 lockpicks, people won't trade you a big item that's worth 10,000 lockpicks. Lockpicks is more just the currency title people use to value things. But that wasn't the point. The point was the fun in building a corporation and collecting as many lockpicks as possible. Many weeks later, business had been rolling very well. I had many employees working under me and was making a ton of lockpicks. I told my friends on Discord about this, and their first response was, "That sounds like a pyramid scheme." The truth is, I don't entirely know what a pyramid scheme or what a multi-level marketing scheme is, so please take me using the term pyramid scheme lightly, because I haven't gone to economy school, and if you want to know about pyramid schemes, you should probably do your own research. According to Google, a pyramid scheme is a form of investment, illegal in the US and elsewhere, in which each paying participant recruits 2 further participants, with returns being given to early participants using money contributed by later ones. Whenever I explained the FER.AL Corporation to people I knew, they said, "Sounds like a pyramid scheme." This was because I was being hired to hire other people, and because I was making commission based on how much my employees made. I still wasn't convinced that this innocent-looking orange fox hired me into a financially manipulative lockpick scheme on FER.AL. Normal businesses had bosses with managers and employees below them, so I didn't understand how a FER.AL corporation could be any different. I thought about this a lot. As I was hiring people, I wondered if I was being manipulative to be in this position. And while I was being paid, I was wondering if I was being paid enough, or if Foxsong was just hoarding lockpicks while my employees did the most difficult work of collecting ingredients. I finally decided to confront my boss about this. I decided that his FER.AL Corporation scheme was concerning. I was being paid based on how much my employees worked. This system could be easily manipulated. It was easy for me to collect lockpicks while not caring for my employees. And what if my employees below me started hiring more people to do their job? That would definitely result in an unfair distribution of lockpicks. The next day, while Foxsong was explaining my pay, I said, "This is a pyramid scheme." Well, actually, I said, "My dad thinks this is a pyramid scheme, because apparently I'm too nervous to have my own opinion, but that is an issue for a different time." Okay, I said, "This is a pyramid scheme," and my boss responded, "Bruh." I explained the issue with me being paid depending on what my employees collect. Foxsong was confused at first, but then I introduced my idea that I be paid for every day I work. It was a system that required me to be honest about how many days I was working. And after a 20-minute conversation, it was decided that I'd be paid based on days I work and not based on what my employees did. I'd help improve another business by removing potential for unfair pay. Or at least that's what I did in a FER.AL corporation, where we use FER.AL lockpicks as money. I'm describing this pretty seriously, but it's still FER.AL. It was still lockpicks, and the situation wasn't so serious. It would be different if Foxsong was using real money, but that's not this case. By this point, I had been working for Foxsong for many weeks. I had become very used to seeing him in game. He was literally always on FER.AL. I'd light up whenever I see that my orange fox capitalist boss was running around. He'd become a familiar face for me to see in game, but it was then when the business began to change, and when I should have started getting worried. Foxsong was already running a weapon and hat business. But one day, he told me to start commissioning people for Marrowfish, because the FER.AL Corporation was expanding to a FER.AL furniture company. Foxsong then built a furniture shop inside of his sanctuary, which I'll give a tour of very quickly. My boss had a pretty great system made. He'd invite people to his sanctuary where they'd find the shop. Inside the shop was an employee who would sit right here and who would sell furniture. The employees would get paid for their time there, and Foxsong would supply the furniture and receive some revenue. Unfortunately, FER.AL isn't made for these corporations to exist. FER.AL corporations are complicated and require dedication. Meanwhile, FER.AL is grindy. It started as any day. Foxsong traded me the moment I logged on, but this time he didn't ask for my collective ingredients or tried to pay me. He said, "I have some bad news." I knew what was coming. Business isn't doing that well, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to continue paying my employees. Is it because you're not selling enough furniture? Yes, it is. The FER.AL Corporation had gone bankrupt because there simply wasn't enough demand for hats, swords, and furniture in FER.AL. My boss offered to teach me how to make my own business if I wanted to continue making more lockpicks. But I didn't want to just run a business. I wanted to work under Foxsong and be a part of a FER.AL corporation. Foxsong explained that I probably wouldn't see him again. You see, Foxsong was an Animal Jam player who had only come to FER.AL to start the corporation. I said, "If you ever go on to FER.AL again, I hope to see you again." He said, "Okay, then, you too." And like that, I was given my last paycheck and I never saw Foxsong again. I wish I could tell you that I saw Foxsong again after that, but it didn't happen. Being a part of that FER.AL corporation was one of the weirdest things I've experienced in the game, but it was also one of the most fun things I've ever done. During the time I was part of the corporation, I played FER.AL every day, but after the company went bankrupt, I had almost no reason to log on. It's certainly an interesting situation with an even more interesting story. And I hope you enjoyed this story I just told. And if you ever come across a capitalist fox, or just any person on the internet that you consider a friend, just enjoy your time before that fox goes bankrupt. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, I don't know how often I'm gonna be like uploading after this, but hopefully there's gonna be a mid-season update. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was one that I was excited to make, and I think it's pretty interesting in my opinion. That's all. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!